Hello, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, it's lovely to see your face again. I hope that you are doing well. I thought I would just do a little update on my chainmail shenanigans. If you have been here and you've seen, I previously tried to knit some chainmail, or inspired by chainmail really, a kind of bishop's mantle. This is the item. I should put it on. In fact, it might be quite cool under this necklace. So this was the item, and since I ended up doing it, just a little bit of research, a little bit of looking, and I realised that chainmail, in a way, it has many similarities to knitting. You know, it's made by creating little sets of rings, or just taking sets of rings and making them into almost a knitted fabric and using increasing or decreasing to change the shape. And I couldn't resist. I ended up purchasing just the smallest amount of rings to give it a go. And I love it. So far I love it. I'm sure most of you know, but just a quick overview. Chainmail, or mail, is made using small metal rings linked together in a pattern to form a mesh. So it was used for centuries. I think it was like 3rd to 16th century, kind of across quite a lot of the world. Europe, Asia, North Africa vibes. But sometimes it was riveted. The style that I have done isn't. I don't really think I will be doing any heavy duty iron or anything like that, but this was a lot of fun. So this was a technique or a pattern called 4-in-1. If you are a chainmail expert, forgive me. And obviously, if you want to know anything about it, Google is your best friend. So I ended up trying the 4-in-1 technique, and the first time I tried it, I was on a Discord call with one of my knitting, my D&D knitting party, which was really, really fun. And to get practicing it, because it's a very simple technique, but I wanted to make sure, much like knitting, that I wasn't just doing what I like guessing. I actually was able to almost read it. So I ended up following an amazing tutorial on chainmail101.com. I'll put the link in it below. Very simple, really clear, like computer aided design, graphic images that made it really, really easy to follow and really simple. And 4-in-1 is exactly how it sounds. So you have one ring will have 4 rings attached to it, and then the next one ring will have 4 and 4. And so it was quite an easy process to do. So I just sat and closed quite a few of the rings, because you use jump rings, and closed quite a few beforehand. And I also then set up, so I put 4 rings onto one jump ring, and had quite a lot of those, like batches of those, ready to go. And then you're just learning how to join them, and again, it's quite simple. It's a really nice process to sit and do. I found it really meditative, and this was what I started with. I just started with a big long, I say a big long strip. Take it off and hope that I don't make too much noise. Maybe it will be a ASMR-y. I don't know. So I started with a long strip across the top, and then I started to work my way down. I made it up as I went along. I didn't really have any real intention with what I wanted this to look like, and I found that very, very quickly and easily I could make joining strips together. So once I realised that, and I kind of realised that I wanted to do a little triangle, I made strips of different lengths. So I had this big long one, and then I had some that were smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And when I started building it up, I think I must have done sort of to here, I realised that actually it might be easier to check what it looks like from the bottom, because I didn't actually look for a tutorial on this part, on the shaping. So I ended up playing and playing until I figured out how to do a triangle. And it was very simple. It was just making sure that every row had one extra chain on it as it went up. I think that was it. And once I was happy with how it looked, I then tried it on and realised that without any shaping, the way I had this sitting, the front was falling out. So I ended up, and now this is where I really want to do a little bit more digging, and that's kind of why I'm making this video, because I feel like it's interesting for me, but hopefully interesting for other people to see the process of learning and being new at something and figuring something out. I don't know if that is interesting to other people, but I find it fascinating on how quickly you can learn and develop, predominantly if you're able to reflect positively about what you've done and be like, this is something that I really want to learn, and it is like shaping. But I managed to do it one decrease on here and then one over on each side, and that's made it so that it sits in a way that I'm really happy with. It's maybe not the best technique, it might not be correct. I have so much hair up the back there now, I really should get a haircut, which makes it quite hard to put these on because the little loops that I've got. Yeah. So I think it sits really nicely now, and actually this is a vibe. Weird. Yeah. So this was the first thing I made, and I was really, interested, excited, and quite happy. And I think I didn't buy that many rings. I think there was like 400, and I used quite a lot of them up. And I decided that actually I really enjoyed this. I liked the process. The tools I used aren't fit for purpose. Just to be clear, these are the tools that I had. They've done the job fine. Because they're slightly, I guess, serrated. That it means that it can leave dinks if you're not overly careful. I was thinking of maybe putting some electrical tape or something over the ends to make it a little bit smoother. Some people are like, no, don't do something that dumb. But I think that might help. And I ended up purchasing, honestly, these things are like my favourite things ever. But I ended up purchasing some slightly smaller rings because I also learnt that aspect ratio makes a difference. So if I'm like, how do I explain that? Aspect ratio is something we understand from pixels and photo sizes and movie sizes and things like that, film sizes. And it's the same thing, and you get the ratio by dividing the diameter of the chain itself by the inner diameter of the ring. And that will make a difference to how the pieces fit together. And I think this one was slightly off for 4-in-1. But I really love how it came out, so I'm not upset. And I have actually been wearing this a lot. So I ended up purchasing some rings that were slightly smaller and had the correct aspect ratio of 5.0. And this one is what I made. So this is the 4-in-1. I'll have inserted it over the top. But I ended up making the 4-in-1 in this, and I love the fabric, the mesh it makes. I think it is a really nice, it looks more like jewellery than this one, that whilst I think it does look like jewellery. It, you know, it does read. If this was big, this would definitely read like, are you wearing casual chainmail? Yes, I am. And again, I just went and played a little bit. I wanted to figure out how strands would work. I used some of the larger rings from this to join it together. And this was just 2 strips that I then joined together on a D&D knit night again. Attached these where I thought would work. These ones are 1 ring longer than these, and that was kind of intentional, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've done it correctly. But I think I did it as good as I could do, and I'd quite like to try this again on a larger scale, like this sort of V's, and maybe do something a little bit more dramatic. And then all I did was finish the mail at the end, so I added two extra joining rings on the end, a couple of these, one of the larger rings on this end, and a little, I want to say a hook and eye, it's not what it's called, but you know, one of the bars and then on this side I did the same. I used 1 large ring and then 3 more of the smaller rings. That just gives it enough wiggle room to go through the hole with ease, otherwise it wouldn't. But yeah, again, really happy with how this came out. It's definitely a vibe. The only other thing I made was not actually chainmail, but this was just using oddments that I had in the house. So I had a bit of chain from, I don't know, I just had I think it was like a metre long strip of chain. I had a couple more of the what are they called? Hold, please. Toggle clasps. I was way off. A toggle clasp. That's cute. That would be a really cute little gnome character. Hi, my name's Toggle Clasp. Yes, and I also had a belt that does not fit me at all, that I had some chain on, so I took that off it. And I might either turn that into a base strap for my base, or give it to a friend, because that belt just it'll never work for me. Guess I'll have to put it on to explain it. What? So, put it on over the top. This is so extra. Yeah, that sort of works. So I ended up taking the strip and measuring around my waist, adding a toggle clasp on either end with, again, a few of the 6mm little jump rings on the end, so that I could put it around my waist. And it fits quite well. I think it's quite cool. And then I ended up joining a small ring and a large ring and bringing some chain up to where I wanted it to sit, put another jump ring, and then I just attached a chain, like a long chain, to another jump ring. I'll bring it forward hopefully so you can see how I've done it. So that's two shorter chains either side with, again, the toggle clasp and the 3 little jump rings on the edge. And then I attached another one of the bigger jump rings, a little bit more chain to it, and the rest. This was just the last of the curb chain that I had already, and I just attached them to where I wanted them to sit. And I don't know, I have to say, for my more oversized knitwear, and especially my mohair, because it's not too chunky, like the fabric's very lightweight and very fine, but just a lot of the garments are quite airy. I have found that this is a really nice, fairly lightweight way of bringing the waist in, which for me is quite nice. I think it, as I'm so short, it kind of stops me always looking like I'm, you know. But yeah, I'm really happy with these fun little items, and I just thought I would share, and I will sit here and make a little bit of 4-in-1 with you if you would like to see my... I always call them gangly fingers. I don't think that's a... What does gangly?
Gangly.
Another term for gangling. A gangly use with a trace. Gangling. Tall, thin, and awkward in movements or bearing. Okay, yeah, the only tall part of me is my hands. They are Jack Skellington hands. Yeah, I guess gangly works. Mid 18th century. Move ungraceful. He gangled along the main street. Yeah, that's exactly what it'll be. I will gangle my fingers for you if you want to sit and join me for a little bit. First of all, very importantly, I'm going to put my hair out of this way, because I tell you what, she gets in the way these days. I think I'm overdue a big haircut. Again, if you're a professional, advice would be welcome, but also I'm sorry. I found that having a T-pin or just a pin close by is handy for just marking bits that you want to focus on. I also should add, I do need glasses, and I always forget to put them on. I'm not going to put them on today either because I'm a terrible human being. I knew this would bother me, having mixed these up, so I'm going to separate them. Yep. I don't know where you came from, you're really tiny. So here's the bag. I did purchase 1,000 pieces of these. There's a bit more than I thought I had. So this is quite exciting. I should weigh them and get an idea roughly of how many I have left. So all I'll do to start is just close the rings up. So just using a slight twisting motion. I also note that I really like working on one of these sort of blocking mats. It means that I can just pick it up and move it and pin things down into it without feeling bad that I'm going to ruin things like the table. Why don't you look very nice? Ah, there you go. I would say it's good to have some sort of good entertainment on, something like The Legend of Vox Machina, maybe. Or I've been listening to a book that I was recommended by multiple people multiple times called Legends and Lattes, and I actually bought it and I was reading it, but it was so nice and wholesome that I am listening to it with Alex now, who's also really enjoying it. But obviously when I'm filming like this, I can't really listen to things until I know I'm not going to talk, and then there's no issue, you know? Okay, so I've made some rings, and all I'm going to do is take another selection of the opened ones, put 4 onto each open one, close that, and then put them to the side. Simple. And I have found a slightly, I don't know if it's cheating, but a method that really helps me join them a lot easier, and I'll show you that shortly. I like to make sure I've got a nice grip, because otherwise I can risk really twisting it wrong and you know, knocking them out of shape, and I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to be better. But it's quite hard because I also don't want to damage it with the serration. I don't know, this is like a different colour, it's like a gunmetal, it's quite nice. I wondered if next time I should be buying gunmetal. But I do think I'm kind of a silver gal, really. Don't hold them close to your eyes without glasses on, or just don't hold them close to your eyes. Do as I say, not as I do. 2, 3, 4. 2, 2. And if this was something that I really wanted to do long term, I would consider purchasing wire and making the rings myself, which is a very simple process. You would just literally wrap the wire around something of the right diameter and then use really sharp snips and cut through them, and you get the little rings, which is something that I'd love to try eventually, but for now this is a low investment, just trying something for fun, which is something that I've been talking about doing more this year. Obviously, I've said it before, but blacksmithing would absolutely be up there. I'd quite like to do some more candle making. I found that really satisfying. I think I'm at a point where my wardrobe is kind of... There's lots that I would like to get rid of and swap out and give away, but oh look, I did the right amount. So I want to be able to make things for fun. I don't really need anything like practically. I think I say that and I might think otherwise. Like maybe a couple of more of the little bralette tops that I wear all the time, just because I wear them all the time, and in colours that are just a little bit more me, but I think I'm okay. So it'll be quite nice to spend more time doing crafts this year that obviously I don't have to invest in too much, but also learn something new and can get excited about it. Especially when it feels a bit like knitting. This really does. And I still want to try and knit with wire because I think that would be incredibly satisfying. So I've got some. So yeah, and I'm just gonna get going. And like I said, I do have I don't know if it's a cheating method, it just helps me get it right. So I lay them out as they need to be. And I've found that focusing on starting with them all in one direction each time really helps. So not swapping the way round that they are. Because you could do it, you know, all the rings facing different ways. So the way you're laying it out is that the 2 top rings and the 2 bottom rings are leaning the same way, and the one in the middle leans the opposite, and I like visually when that is the case and the middle ring is leaning to the left. I don't know why. And I've just found that this one safety pin that's been through a lot already has helped me, so I'm putting it through where I need the ring that I'm going to join it with to go through, and it's really helped. Just make sure that I'm doing it right. So I'll just have them on here, laid out in the right way, and then I can just join them. And it is fiddly, especially to start with when there's sort of no weight for it to hold against itself, I guess. I would say it's like a bit like using lace weight yarn and just starting with a lace row, almost. You know, you can't see what you're doing, you're hoping for the best. It's a bit like that. And that's it. So once it's joined, sometimes I undo the safety pin if it's getting in the way while I'm trying to join the ring up, but otherwise, and you should be able to just like fling it down and get an idea where you're at. Sometimes takes a little bit of finicking. Okay. Yeah. But we did the first one. And this is how I set it out. With the middle ring pointing in that direction. And we'll put the safety pin back through. I haven't done it on all of them, and it wasn't necessary on this at all. But where this is so small and fiddly, it just seems to make the process that much smoother. And I wonder if I should get like a rounded tapestry needle almost for doing this with. Sometimes you have to fold the center ring back on itself to get it to face the right way. But that's okay. Yeah! Look at this tiny little baby maille. So then we just make strips like this and join them together with that exact same method. That's it. That's all there is to it. But it's a really fun little process. It's nice and gentle to do. I love that it makes, again, I say this a lot when it comes to making things and using my hands, but I like that it's a totally different hand movement to knitting, which I think for me is really important. I think if you like to use your hands, it's quite important to use them in different ways to prevent them from, you know, repetitive strains and injuries. What I don't like to do is to kit round the safety pin as well. That makes it a lot harder, and every now and then I start to do it and I'm like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, you stayed. So that's essentially it. And I think I'll leave it here for now. And if I end up working more on this, I will film a little bit more where I get to. So I have done 2 tiny strips and laid them out in the same direction. I won't do anything else more fancy today. I have some more of these coming in the post, and I hope to do a bigger project. I'm not going to do a chainmail shirt because I don't think that's practical for my my wardrobe, but I will do something I think similar in this vein, like in the same vein as this, like a bishop's mantle or something, just a little bit more intricate that takes a little bit more time. So yes, we'll join these together, and it is very simple. So I make sure that the eyes, all I'm doing is making sure that I can see the eyes and where they overlap. Boop. And I'll join the first ones. I'm left-handed, so I find that starting on the left is easiest for me. Guess that it would work in the reverse direction if you are right-handed, maybe? That's right. And again, just I like these pins. It just seems to really make life easier. I'm sure you'd get used to it and get used to the method, but for now, it just makes sense to my little brain. It definitely feels like it gets easier once there's more weight down on the eyelets, on the rings. Yeah, like the pin's not really needed after you've got so far into it, but when it's this tiny, it just really helps. Yeah, while I've been doing the bits that you haven't seen, I don't think there was much that you didn't see. I've been listening to Lyriel, the sequel to Sabriel by Garth Nix. Been really enjoying it. I don't know why I hadn't listened to it before or read it before, but it's read by Tim Curry, which is really good. And yeah, if you haven't read the series or heard of the series, I definitely recommend having a little look, especially if you like fantasy and necromancy, but it's not necromancy in the way we have heard about it before. It's quite cool. We did it! Another little tiny square. And now I'm really quite excited and wanting to carry on, but I know that I have other things to do today. So I won't until maybe this evening if I do any more on this at all. But I'll get a little bit of a clip so you can see it. And I do apologise for the chaos. This is D&D mess, this is project mess that I should hide. But you know, it is what it is. Last night I sat down with Alex. He'd finished work and needed something to sort of decompress with. And he mentioned that he'd be interested in learning chainmail, so I showed him, and he made this. He used up all of the unclosed rings that I had left in this size. There are some in here, and obviously this can be reused in it, but for anything, so I can open them but I just thought I'd show you. And in the process, there was two sort of takeaways that I learnt. And one was, yes, I had been intuitively chainmailing left-handed. So the centre ring was facing towards the left. When Alex did it, he found it easier when they're facing towards the right. And it helped me because he watched a video. I learnt from photos. I don't know why I didn't watch videos, but it's just not really, I don't know. and realised that to avoid using the safety pin to get it through all fours on the tiny size, actually doing what Alex did and joining just two extra, like joining 3 rings at a time rather than the 5, made a big, like, a difference. It's not as, I guess it's quite efficient to do the way I was doing before when you're adept at it, or if you're doing these like slightly larger rings, that was easy enough for me to do without a safety pin. But on this fiddly size, actually doing it that method, using that method, just joining 3, made a big difference. So I was going to quickly kind of show you what that looks like. I'm going to do it left-handed again, but that really isn't a big deal. So what you would do, and I'll try and explain it with a close-up too. So when you're laying down the rings, you want to go either up and then down through a ring, like the 2 end rings, or you want to go down then up. So it just depends which way the ring's facing as to what way you do that. I'll point it here again, and then hopefully that will make kind of sense. So this is how I would lay it out if I'm chainmailing left-handed, and I would then go up through this ring and down through that ring, so you can see it goes up through here and down through there, and that's what I would do to join it. And if it was the opposite way round, so left-handed, you would go down through this one and up through this one. And as you can see, this is going down and up this way. Hopefully that kind of makes sense, but I'm going to do it again and show you. I don't know why I insist on doing this like this, but there you go. I am a house goblin. And no truer thing has ever been said. I'm going to close 4, so I've got 2 to show you. So because I have it left-handed, so I'm going to go up through the ring that's attached to the bottom of the middle ring, and then down through the one that's attached to the top. I'm going to press my finger down to just lift up the outside rings just a little bit as well. And also, you can do this without the rings attached and just put them on once they're done. That's a fine method too, and it might even be speedier if you're not using the pliers in this process, which I don't know why I'm not doing. I think it's because these are serrated. I'm still a bit nervous about denting them. Yeah, and whilst that maybe didn't seem speedier, I think it might be in the long run. I'm not sure. Again, like I say, it just depends on whether what size the rings are. And I do think if I had slightly better tools, this has got no oomph to it at all. Alex was getting quite upset with them. So yeah, I think that makes a difference. I'll bring you closer so you can just see, hopefully. I think it's really fun. It's a really interesting technique. I've got to say, I'm starting to think about it in sort of knitting-y terms, and like, I love this and actually feel like this is maybe something that I would definitely wear a lot, but it's sort of like Aran yarn. It's a little bit chunkier, it doesn't quite fall as nicely, and it does read more like chainmail, whereas this does read a little bit more like jewellery. So I think I chose right in going with this size for doing a slightly larger project, and also it should take me longer, which is something that I'm looking forward to in projects at the moment. But yeah, it kind of, like fingering weight or lace weight yarn, it just has a nice drape to it. It really wants to curve to the shape of my body, and I really like that. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you again very soon talking about another chainmail project. If there's anything you would like to see, or if you've got ideas, I'm definitely up for hearing them, especially because this is so new to me and exciting. But again, I was going to leave the video where it was yesterday, and I thought I would come back because it's amazing how quickly you can and do learn at these early stages with a craft. So yeah, I thought I would share that little bit of sort of knowledge that I learned, and hopefully you'll see me again very soon if you want to be here, obviously. Creating another piece. I think I'm going to try and document the journey on those ones. This was just to test and to get a feel for it and see if I did want to. I think I want to do a slightly bigger project. I'm not going to do a spoiler, I'm not going to do a whole shirt, a chainmail shirt. I don't think it's not going to be that practical for my wardrobe. It might be. Hopefully not though. So something along this line, just slightly casual fantasy vibes or ye olde vibes. I'm not sure which one really, but definitely I'm fantasy trash, let's face it. Yeah. I will leave you with some footage of just me kind of styling these little items that I've worn. I think I find it interesting seeing the way people wear and style different things, so I just thought that might inspire you maybe to be more playful with your wardrobe or to try something different. I love it. I love the noise it makes. It's so tactile. Yeah. Anyway, I hope to see you again soon. I hope you did enjoy this and took something away from it, whether that's maybe encouragement to try something different, a new project, a craft that you've been thinking about for a while, or to just add a little bit more whimsy to your life. Yeah, don't forget to love each other, and I hope to see you again very soon.